All right, it's 2 o'clock, so I'm going to start this meeting. Can y'all hear me? Is this working? Okay, so would we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? This meeting is going to be in 2 parts, and it's going to be about transparency, something that we talk about a lot, but sometimes we don't really dig into. So the first part, I'm going to do a little update on a very important item. The second part is we have some board members here that would like to have me replaced as the president, and so we will talk about that and take it forward. So the first part, I want to give you an update on the land that we are trying to acquire from the state. And there's been a lot of questions on this. Ray has gotten some. A lot of people know what's going on, a lot of people don't. What's happened was, when I first got on the board, January of 24, Ray gave me a tour of the facilities. And when I got down to the golf facility on Sandcrest, I was appalled at what I saw. We had lots of equipment parked. We had the employees parking their cars in there because they couldn't park outside. It might make some residents unhappy. And it was just packed out. We had 2 different maintenance facilities stuffed into an area that was designed for one. And so after that, I started thinking, what in the world can we do? To expand this, you need land. And so I started investigating. This was outside the board. I was just doing this to see what's out there. I found out that the state owned the adjacent land, 230 acres, and it came right behind our current common area, or our current facilities. So I was a little reluctant to do anything, because when I was on the spa board and the president of that, right after we put in the 6 courts, I started looking for land. And I found some state land where we could put some additional courts, another whole facility. And so I started the process, and I got slapped down so hard and fast, it's like, okay, you don't go there. But anyways, I thought, well, okay, I could get slapped down again, no big deal, as long as it's just me knowing what's going on, and you just don't advertise failure. So I put in for a case, and I finally got a call from a nice fellow in the land department. I told him what the situation was, and I said, we need at least an acre to put up a facility that would take care of this community. And I said, right now it's kind of a danger. You got cars everywhere, you got equipment everywhere. And this fellow explained to me that the state really doesn't like to sell a small parcel like an acre, so they want to sell the whole 230 acres. It's like, well, we're not going there. So I said, is there anything we can do, anything at all? And he got back to me a few weeks later and said, well, he did some checking. Maybe we could get a license agreement to use an acre where we could actually fence it in, and we could park our equipment, and the employees could park their cars there. Well, at least this would open up the facility, that they're working out of now, and make things a lot better than what it was. So I said, well, fine. I got a hold of Ray, and I got a hold of Ed Simprick, who did a lot of this stuff with the county, and Matt and Walter, and I said, do you guys want to see if we can't get a license agreement? And they said, well, go for it. See what they say. So we went forward with that, and they didn't have any price. It would be an annual fee. But they did tell us that, now, if someone wanted to buy that 230 acres, we were out. We had to take the fence down. We couldn't use it anymore, yada, yada. So I said, okay. So time went on. A lot of time went on. And finally, this nice gentleman called me back, and he goes, Larry, he said, the higher-ups just don't want to go in that direction. There's no money for the state. It's a lot of work, and that's it. So I thought, well, this is dead, almost. I had some contacts. I made some emails and communications with some folks. And I thought, well, do what we can do. So a couple of months went by, nothing happened. I thought, well, okay, this deal's dead. At least we tried. You got to try. On Christmas Eve, I get a call from this gentleman, and he says, I was going to wait till after Christmas, but I thought you'd want to hear this. We're going to go ahead. The word came down from on high. And I thought, well, from heaven, good. Came down from on high, we're going to go ahead and sell you that acre. So I got the word out to the people that needed to know, and shortly thereafter I got an email from Ed Simprick, who has worked with the county because he built our pickleball facilities. He goes, Larry, he says, we got to have at least an acre and a quarter in order to be able to build anything on this thing because of the way it's zoned. And he said, I just got done working with Pinal County, and if we don't get an acre and a quarter, we're no better off than having it as a parking lot. So I went back to the state, had to beg, borrow, and steal and explain the situation. And he was very nice, and he said, I have to resubmit this with the reasons why. He did. It took an extra month, and the state came back and said, sure, we'll sell you this property. So there we are. We've been working on it now it's been 8 months. We've been working on it. They told us it would take somewhere between 14 and 18 months to acquire this property. A lot of things to do. So Friday, the good news came down that the deeds have been produced by our surveyor and submitted to the state. Now there's 2 deeds, one for the property that we're going to get and one for the remaining 228 acres. It all has to be recorded. So this week the state will be going through that, and once we get that approval, then we will get an appraisal, and this is what we'll have to pay for it. We don't know what that is yet. Then there's a 10-week advertising period. So the state has to advertise it. Then, once that is done, we can go and bid on this. And what the state has told me, he said, listen, don't worry about it. This thing is landlocked. Nobody can have access to it except Saddlebrook. So he says, don't worry about someone bidding against you, unless one of you want to bid against us and then donate it to the community. That would be good. But other than that, so pretty soon we'll know what it's going to cost. And hopefully by the end of the year, we will actually have that land. And the main thing is that what we need to do is put in a comprehensive maintenance facility. What we have right now is, it's really in bad shape, okay? I can see where this facility will be big enough to handle the golf folks, the common area maintenance equipment, and those folks. We can have offices put in. We can have lounge put in. Also, Bill, our maintenance guy, has no place to work out of. Now, he's asked for some storage area to be built. This way, we can actually put in a workshop for him. Those guys are working outside of their pickup trucks now, and it just doesn't work very well. So this will help our maintenance people to do a much better job. We'll have a place to store materials instead of the parking lots. It'll be stored down there, and all the equipment, chemicals, and what have you. The old facility can be easily turned into a warehouse that we don't have. So that's the future plan, and this is something that will last this community for decades to come, and it'll save us money over the long haul. Now, if you have any questions on the real need to do this, I would direct you to Ray, who would take you down there, set up a time to take you down there and let you see what's really going on. And if you don't want to speak to Ray, speak to Denise Anthony, because she took the tour. And I could say she kind of came unglued. So she's laughing back there, but isn't that right, Denise? So anyways, that's the good news. And now let's get into the rest of this program. All right, as you know, this year we added 3 new members, and to my knowledge, none of them had any large HOA experience. I'm on my 28th year now of doing this sort of thing. Also, we went through a transition, and we're still in it. It won't be complete until after the budget process. And I think I'm the only one here that has gone through a transition, and it's a totally different animal than just being on a board. It takes time to understand what and how we do things. And unfortunately, with little or no training, we got 1 hour of training, okay? The board members are set loose to do what they think they're supposed to do without knowledge to do the things correctly or within the scope and boundaries established for board members. It's kind of a recipe for mistakes. Yeah, we've had a lot of them, okay? And most of the time, you know, you just roll with it, it doesn't matter, and people make mistakes, they learn, and we just go on with things. Unfortunately, during a transition period, mistakes are multiplied. The job of the president is fairly simple. I run the meetings and act as the conduit for information between the COO and the board. And that's about it. This year, we were transitioning from a micromanaged manager to a competent COO, and unfortunately, from the beginning of the year, some of the new members reverted back to the past and didn't even realize what they were doing. And that happens. I mean, when you don't have any training and you don't have a lot of experience, you just kind of, here's what happened in the past, why doesn't it continue on going on? So, you've all heard the word micromanaging. It takes in a lot of areas. We have management interference, there's operational interference, we even have organizational interference, and then there's committee interference. Now when I say committee interference, I'm talking about board members interfering with how committees work. We have liaisons on there, but they're there to listen and report back to the board. And committee members, even, or the committees, have interfered with management. And I'll give you an example of that. Last year, we had a common area maintenance committee. And in their charter, they actually were to meet with the common area manager. The charter had items in there that told the manager what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Well, this is totally contrary to an HOA that is run by a competent COO. So what the board did and what they were supposed to do was we came up with a new policy, and I'm going to read a couple pieces, to provide clear definitions and to outline expectations to ensure the effective maintenance of the common area, prioritizing safety, appearance, and sustainability, to set forth expectations for the maintenance of all common area levels, and shall develop and enforce common area maintenance department procedures in support of this policy. So now you can see where what we've done is we've given the instructions to the COO to take care of the common area. You all know what happened last year. We bought this mulching machine. It went out and it denuded a lot of the land. A lot of people were unhappy. I mean, I think the board was very unhappy with what was going on. And so we had to have a better way. So we turned it over to Darren. And all I'm going to say is that you can see what's happening today. And I hope you all understand that we made a 180-degree turn here, and this common area is being taken care of correctly. What we have found is that we have drainage areas that have grown over in the last 20 years we didn't even know we had. Now we have well over 300 acres of common area. Right now we have the goats. We're on a test area, and it came out exceedingly well. Our guys followed behind, cleaned everything up, and they're continuing on. Our maintenance crew, common area maintenance crew, is doing a great job. There has been some financial analysis on what it costs us to have the goats in there with our people coming behind, or having just our people doing all of the work. Darren will be talking about that tomorrow. I don't want to take his spot, but there's significant improvement going on in our common area. You can see where they've done some hydro seeding, and we'll be seeing lots of flowers and things in the future. Just a major improvement to this community, only because once the CO comes in, he analyzes the people we have working, if they're not doing the job, and if they can't be trained to do the job, they are gone, and you replace them with someone who can. And that's what happened here with our common area, okay? We're doing that with everything we're looking at right now. I mean, you can look at the facilities that we have and how well Bill and his crew are taking care of things with the pools and the painting and the repairs and everything else. So this whole community has improved significantly since Darren has come on board. So the problem is that when conflicts arise, and we've had our conflicts within the board, okay? Most of the time, it becomes a difference of opinion on how things should be approved or how they should be handled. And sometimes there's a clash of personalities, and that's happened. And you know, unfortunately, it becomes personal. Not supposed to, but it does. And sometimes feelings are hurt, and this has also occurred. I met with Janine back in June. She came on to talk to me. She asked me to just quietly resign as the president so that it wouldn't look like a coup. And I looked at her and go, well, Janine, that's exactly what's going on here, you know. And later when we talked, I asked her, when things were going so well, and things are going so well in this community, what have I done wrong? She stated that I support Darren too much. I said, absolutely, 100%. That's what transition is all about. The whole board should support him 100%. And I gave her the reasons why, and that this process is not done yet. We have to get through the budget process first. That's the last piece of doing a transition. So that's where we're at. I do have to talk about one of our board members who takes care of the golf stuff. When we started, I knew nothing about golf. So Brad was going to be the golf guy and on the committee. And we met with Darren, and we agreed that Brad could talk directly to Darren instead of going through me, and that he would work through Darren and with the committee to come up with some new direction on the golf course at the preserve. Now, originally, the plan was to do the course in 2029. Unfortunately, when you look at the financials that we needed, it would take a $300 special assessment every year in order to come up with the money to do that. And this board is just, you know, after last year, that $1,500, there's no way we were going to approve a continuing time of 300 here, 300 there for the next 4 or 5 years. Just wasn't going to happen. So we started doing the search, and unfortunately, Brad got a little sidetracked. He didn't go through Darren on all the stuff. He went around him and started doing things that a board member shouldn't be doing. So we got him straightened out, and he started doing things right. So the big thing that came down on this golf thing was the irrigation. We had no clue how long this irrigation would last. There were a couple of places like Van Tana and those areas that their irrigation's 40, 45 years, same type of irrigation system. So our thought was, hey, if we can get 40, 45 years out of this thing, we can do a top out in a few years, save money for the next 15 years, and then do the irrigation. But we didn't know. So there is an outfit that we were able to hire to do an audit of our irrigation system. Now you have to realize that when Robeson put in that golf course, all along the main line, they planted trees. You know what happens when you put trees over a water system? Yeah, I don't have to tell you. It's a disaster. So the irrigation people came back, they did a huge report for us, and it came out that we could expect, we could expect our system to last somewhere between 2030 to 2032. Okay? So now the question comes down to, when do you do the total rebuild? One idea was to do the top out and just let the irrigation go until it crapped out on us, and we hope for the best. The other plan was to set it up for 2031, and if we were real careful with the finances, we could probably get it taken care of and have the money in 2031 to do it. So the golf committee was a little wishy-washy on this on their May meeting, weren't sure which way they were going to go. So Brad came and told me, he says, well, I want this 2031 plan on the agenda for June. And I got back to him, I said, Brad, I said, that has to come from the committee. You can't be the one presenting it, you're a board member. So it has to come from the committee. Well, he got very upset about that because he wasn't sure the committee was going to go in that direction. So anyways, I went to their meeting in early June or mid-June and told them they needed to come up with their opinion and their recommendation to the board. And it had to be at the next board meeting. And they did. And they recommended the 2031 plan. Okay? And we adopted that. What Brad didn't realize is that if he'd had presented that to the board, the first question would have come up was, what does the committee recommend? And it would have gotten kicked back to the committee, and it would have been delayed for a couple months because we weren't having another board meeting until August. So that's kind of what happened. So anyways, I'm just going to read a couple of emails that Brad sent me so you'll have an idea of some of the stuff I've gone through. I will be clear, if this item is not on the agenda for the 24th, and if there is not a related vote at that meeting, I will be calling for your removal as president. If that fails, I will be resigning from the board as the process has proven to be a waste of my time. Number one. Then I get another email. You need to resign. Short of that, I will be calling for your removal sometime in July. Well, we didn't have a meeting in July. We have one now. And then he goes on, for your sake and the community, resign your position for reasons of health so that we can avoid drama. And then he goes on to say, I just don't think you are up to the role of president of the HOA, just as I haven't thought certain committee chairs, members were up to their challenge. There was an email just before this one, a couple months before this, where he said, I will be calling for your removal followed by Darren's. This concerned me. I printed it out and gave it to Darren. So here's someone with, all of 8 months experience telling someone with 28 years of experience that I don't know what I'm doing. Okay? So here we are. All we have to say now is that we have some board members that want me removed, and I'll just put the question to them. We'll need a motion. So do I have a motion to remove me as president?
I make a motion to remove Larry as president of the Saddlebrook HOA 2.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay. Board comments?
I have to apologize. I'm sitting here kind of ignorant. Shoot, I didn't even know about this meeting until it got publicly announced to you all. And so I'm the guy that's living under the mushrooms and doesn't know what's going on. But I have a question. What has Larry done? Well, Let me take you back to January 7th. You all recall January 7th, the organization meeting? The 3 new people that were elected to the board, along with Chuck Kill, put together the plan for this year. Larry gave them carte blanche to do that. That was Larry's failure. So Chuck got together with the 3 new people, and they built a plan which basically said, Matt, you go sit down at the end of the bench, and we'll talk to you when we want to. 8 months later, I'm still waiting. And so what I will tell you is that Chuck and the 3 new board members have an agenda. Now, I'm sitting here with the board that I happened to be the president of last year, and I too dealt with board members that wouldn't support board decisions. And I dealt with residents that fed that. And now they're on the board. And so what I would tell you, there's a very dangerous thing going on here. When 4 people don't want to work with 5 or 6 or 7, and they're only interested in their position and their opinion in representing you. I'm trying to understand the justification we have. Chuck made this motion, and Sherry seconded it, and they were all part of the thinking that made Larry the president at the beginning. Neither Sean or I were involved in any of those deliberations, like we have not been involved in any of this. And so I'm anxious to know, and I'm hopeful that you're anxious to know, what the justification is for Chuck's motion and Sherry's second.
I'd like to respond to some of the points that I had to listen to for almost a half hour. The emails that Larry felt necessary to quote regarding my comments about Larry are correct. Now, he didn't give the context, and I'm not going to bore you along the lines of what we've just had to listen to. I will say that I have never thought or said or wrote anything, and I don't know where this manufactured email came from regarding getting rid of Darren. That's a complete fabrication, and I've let Darren know that recently once I found out about the conversation Larry had with Janine. Because of Larry singling me out, I will not be commenting on the reasons why I belatedly supported the idea of replacing Larry. I was not initially in support of it. But I will talk about the June incident. Larry has a way of telling some of the truth, but contextualizing things in such a way that it's not true. And the history he gave about the preserve plan is so far from the truth, I can't begin to go into all the details. But other people on this board are aware of those details, and that's why they've come to this point. Now, as far as Matt is concerned, I actually asked Matt a few months ago if he would be a liaison to the golf committee. I have spent private time with Matt. I've sent emails to Matt. I don't know what other people have tried to get you involved in, but I've tried to draw on your wealth of knowledge and your perspective. So I think that was a little unfair. But yes, you're president of a board that did not get support in the last election, did not really get support on your initiatives last year, and lo and behold, you weren't made an officer this time around. That doesn't seem unexpected to me. I'm not going to defend myself. That's not what we're here for. I don't matter. Okay? What I found interesting is we listened to Larry for 12 minutes talk about I, about an acre and a half. And then he goes, and tells us all that everybody else is doing micromanaging right after he told us that his role as president is very limited. Amen. So the hypocrisy just runs so deep. This was not manufactured from nothing. I'll leave it at that.
If I could speak a little bit. Matt, you said you didn't know why we have a motion, a second, and 4 of us. And I asked for an explanation. No, but you also said you didn't know any of this was coming. June 20th, 2025, Larry sent an email to every board member except Brad, which included you, and he copied Darren. And near the end, he says, if you and the majority of the members feel that I am no longer up to finishing this term in a positive manner, please let me know and I will gladly step aside. If the 3 of you want me to stand down at this time, I will at the Tuesday meeting. So that would have been the June meeting. And so when Larry referenced his meeting with me recently, where he said, I asked him to resign, I did, because he offered to do so on June 20th. And I didn't think this was a good thing to do for our community, to air this. And then I just want to ask everyone else, do you, in fact, have your feelings hurt? My feelings haven't been hurt.
Okay, I'd like to read something that was given to me back last November, when we had, not January, but in November, right after the election of the building in December, we had a group meeting where we all were supposed to talk. It says, Matt and Sean, this is from Larry, just for your information, I had asked the 3 new board members to run after many discussions with each of them. I don't know if that's true or not. 2 of them said they would only if I would take the president position, says Larry. The 3rd one said yes and asked if I would take that position. After the election, I met with them one time, showed them the board manual, and asked for their input for dates, positions, etc. The items that needed to be adjusted for the 25 manual. Given the fact that all along with Chuck, they have a majority and the future of the board's directions in their hands, there was no need involving either Sean or Matt at that time. We weren't involved at all in anything. The year before, the 2024 board got together and we made the manual together. After I got the manual, I sent the changes that I thought would make it easier for the board and to make the transition easier for 2026, and Larry did nothing with it. Then he continues to go on and say, as things develop, you will be kept in the loop. I haven't been. Sean, you need to realize that everything that takes place is out of your and Matt's hands, and mine also. We just need to accept the inevitable and try to get along with one another. There's a lot of work to do next year, but it will take on a completely different complexion. I just hope you can accept the changes that are coming our way. Larry. I, like Matt, found out about this whole business when I got the email saying we were going to have this meeting. I had no idea. I thought, well, maybe they're going to replace me. And then I thought maybe Larry was sick. And then we, right after that, got the schedule for tomorrow's August board meeting, and Janine Grippo's going to be president. I wrote to everybody and said, hey, what's going on? And don't the CC&R say that the vice president needs to take over? Not the assistant treasurer who's been on the board less than 9 months. So this thing started way back, folks, way back. Matt and I have done our best because we decided we weren't going to try to fight City Hall. Our job was to support Darren as the new COO and help him do the best he could. He's done a fabulous job. Is Darren Shaw perfect? No. And remember, when you're pointing the finger at somebody, 3 other fingers are pointing back at you.
If I could just address your comment about the future president. I have an email from Larry dated June 27th at 1:33 p.m. after he had met with Sherry and I on a completely different subject. He says, Janine, one item I forgot to mention, we had a different subject and then he went into this subject at the very end. If I don't finish this year, you need to take the presidency position. And if I finish this year, you need to be ready for it next year. There isn't anyone else available.
Yeah, just one quick comment. I am fairly certain for myself and the rest of the board that we all think Darren is doing a fantastic job. He has really improved the HOA, and I don't want anybody to think that any of us don't think that. We are lucky to have him. We're glad he's here, and we think he's doing a fantastic job. These comments have absolutely nothing to do with Darren. I just want him to know that. Thank you.
He said that he has full support of the residents of the community. So when we hear there's a risk of losing a real manager, which we haven't had for 20 years, this is one of the
This
that
is
was
a-
just
this-
one more way Larry tried to manipulate us.
Exactly, and we're tired of it.
Do we have comments from the audience? If you have make comments, please come up forward to do it. Any other board? Okay. Please come up to the microphones, please. I just hope that this board will support Darren 100%, and I mean 100%. We all see the results of what's been going on around here. There's been conflict within the board, and those things happen. Yes, ma'am.
Is this on? Testing. Maureen Spence, Unit 28. I just want to say I've been on a lot of boards. I've attended a lot of board meetings in my time. This one isn't working. I said I've been to a lot of board meetings. I've been on a lot of boards. And for years, I've had to attend board meetings every month. I have never, though, in any of those board meetings, had a president start a meeting and attack board members like this. I don't think this is something we do in public. As a board member, if I didn't get my way on an issue, when the vote came and the board voted, yes, this is what we're going to do, I walked out of there supporting that 100%. I never criticized the vote. I never criticized the issue. And I think this put the other board members on defense, that they felt they had to come up and defend themselves. So as a homeowner, I just think this is not something we should do.
Is this working? It seemed to be. This is working? Okay. My name is Jan Howard, Unit 36. I have several questions. First of all, I would like to know how many of board members currently hold board leader certificates from the Community Association Institute. Larry? Anybody else? Have you ever heard of it? Yes. And why don't you hold them? Because what?
We are brand new to the board this year, so 3 of us are brand new to the board this year.
And that would have been the first thing that you all should have taken. Absolutely.
Well, I guess we should have been told in our training.
Maybe that's something that should become part of the process, but the characterization that people on this board other than Larry don't have extensive experience with HOAs or even more complex organizations is, again, a mischaracterization of the situation.
Well, I'm not characterizing that.
No,
That was just a
I
simple
understand. I understand.
Okay.
Let me continue. Myself, I've been the president, I've been a treasurer of a resort-type HOA back east, which was essentially about the scope and scale of HOA 1. And the challenges we faced there were more than what we face here. So again, to characterize things, and it doesn't take me 28 years to figure out something as simple as running a $20 million organization.
So my next question is for Darren. My husband and I come from California, where they have Davis-Sterling HOA Act, and part of that is the one voice rule, which means all communication with the CEO or CEO, COO, GM, whatever you want to call it, goes through the president. Does Arizona have that same sort of thing?
I don't think that California has that actually in its legislation. I think that is, a process that's adopted by many boards, the one voice. So it's not part of the Arizona revised statutes either. But
Okay.
when we had our board orientation, we talked about that. When the board makes decisions, the other directors, even if they were dissenting, should be part of the team and support the decision.
Exactly. So I guess that's my final comment. I'm still, like Matt, I'm unclear on what y'all are voting on. Are you voting to remove Larry because he does follow the one voice rule, is what it sounds like, and only communicates with Darren? Or is it that you all want to communicate with Darren and this opens that up?
I would, to answer that, say that none of us want to micromanage. We all have great respect and belief in Darren and his abilities. The system is that...
We can't hear you.
The system is that the president is the main contact with the COO and then would report back and keep the board in the loop. That piece has not been there. And many decisions have been made unilaterally without the board involvement. And I don't want to go into all the details, but understand this decision was not made easily. It has been coming for many months. There's been many conversations. And
Kill this motion and do the job you were elected to do.
One last comment. I understand what Darren's going through. I moved into an organization, $40 million company. As CFO, was made CEO within months. So I had an owner that liked to micromanage me and liked to micromanage the company. And I finally had to get to a point with everybody that reported to me that they're not to do anything that the owner tells them to do unless he asks them first, does Chuck know about it? And finally he agreed to that, to stop micromanaging. So I know exactly what he's going through, and we're not trying to do that with Darren. We want him to run the organization and run it his way. All we're trying to do is to give him direction.
Anybody else? Denise?
Major change. Change is not easy. New COO, new style. New board members, new style. It doesn't come together instantly. But if among themselves they're having issues and they ask someone to do something for the benefit of the board, which is the benefit of the community, Larry, that should happen. Okay? We should not be dragged into this. Darren is a victim here, and so is this audience. And so is this community. They need new leadership because maybe they are new. Okay? Listen, make the change, move on. There's so much good happening. These guys, Sherry and the goats, they've all been contributing to the work here. Okay? It's not easy to change. The golf thing, unless you all wanted to pay, it needed to move.
make one announcement. We're in generator power right now, so we're not sure how long the generator is going to be effective. Race check.
Nothing's working. I have no power.
My name is Dennis Lee. I'm Unit 30, Lot 14. I am a HOA member. I am an experienced HOA director. 16 years with my sub-association in California, 23 years master association and county. Even though they're in California, I'm held in sufficient regard.
Dennis, you have to use your really loud voice.
Okay, really loud voice, really loud voice. And one comment here, that I can't get past this, all right? I've been on committees, I'm a unit rep, I work volunteer for Senior Village, and I look around, and the chaos here is not, in my mind, it's not unexpected. I was on the ALC, and I stepped down from the ALC because I didn't like the nature of the direction that was going. I then went to the common area maintenance, and I was enjoying that very much. And I was resigned from the common area maintenance because I became the president of an HOA in a condo community down in the foothills, right? And I thought that was just enough. So I stood down from the common area maintenance, but not before I was privy to seeing emails from Larry and from Sherry that were just despicable and absolutely appalling. And I will say this, the goats were the idea of one of the other women in the common area maintenance. It had nothing to do with Sherry. When Sherry and the two new ladies on the board came in and hijacked the common area maintenance committee, I realized that the skid thing was not a great idea. It would have been better to sell it and spend 50 grand a year for 4 guys to go around with backpacks and leaf packers, in my opinion, rather than the chaos that the sled created. But I won't stand silent and hear about the goats. Okay, great idea, but it wasn't her idea. All right? Now, you guys get your act together. I followed and I came to board meetings because of my previous experience. I came to board meetings regularly. I stood up regularly. And I helped Sean and I helped Matt trying to get the assessment done, because one way or the other, it's necessary. At some level, it's necessary. These guys were the victims of the community not wanting to adopt that. And I've had exactly the same thing down at La Paloma. It's chaos, they have zero reserves, and because I'm concerned about fiduciary responsibility, I just resigned. The vice president took over, and the thing's going to go into the crap, no question. Okay? I use my observation of Matt's presidency as inspiration to go down to this place and try and fix it. There are a bunch of people down there, a toxic group, who speak ill of everybody, spread lies, and all that. And so I want nothing more to do with it. I walked away. 3 out of the 5 board members walked away for that very reason. Okay? Now, you guys need to get your act together. I was up at the Preserve when Matt produced a 600-page report about what we should and shouldn't do. All right? I was privy to the board meetings where there was a suggestion of getting a COO and go from theoretically well-meaning homeowners telling management, Walter, what to do. We need someone 30 years experience of doing this stuff. He doesn't need us to be beating him around the head. He knows exactly. And everybody here has seen and benefited from his presence. Clubhouse Drive, the walls, the monuments, all sorts of things. Fabulous. Best idea. And I will swear to you that in the history of Saddlebrook, Darren's appointment here, and I would like to think that Matt's influence in having this situation change will be like a major moment in the history of Saddlebrook. You guys need to get your shit together, because you came on and the 3 new board members, and I don't know Brad, but I know the ladies have their own agenda. Everybody's got their own agenda here.
I move the question. Any seconds?
Just one thing, Jeff Depka, Unit 27. It sounds like the new proposal to move on to get a different president, fine. Sounds like the board is supporting Darren, which is great. Question is, right now you have the president talking to the COO. Is the intent of the new president so everyone can impose on the COO, or is it still going to go through a new president? I guess that's the question for this whole thing.
It's gonna go through the president.
Cool. Want to call the question?
Call the question.
We have a motion from Chuck and a second from Sherry. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, so 4-3 vote. Larry Santora is no longer president. Is there a motion from the board to elect a new office, new president?
I make a motion.
Good try.
I make a motion to have Janine Grippo be our new president.
I second it.
Any comments from the board? Any comments from the membership? Yes?
Do I have to come down here and just stand up? Is it prudent to have a first-time board member become president right off the bat?
It's the board's pleasure.
Decision of the board.
Any other comments?
If I
The
could,
question still stands.
yeah, let me weigh in. As you can see, there's really a pool of 4 people we're going to select the president. I fully support Janine to be our future president. She's got 8 months of experience now. She's an intelligent woman. She's passionate about this community. And I'm going to assume that all the things that we heard today, believe me, I'm shocked that anybody on this stage could be intimidated by anybody. But I'm confident she will not be, and I'm confident she won't be in that business. So I'm going to endorse her.
I would like to make a comment about Janine. Janine and I disagree on a lot of things. This is not a coalition of policy agreement. I support Janine because she's honest, she's transparent, and she has made commitments to keep everybody informed and involved. And that's the gap we're trying to fill. It's no more complicated than that in my mind. So Janine, Aaron Howard, Unit 36, Lot 45. Janine, I congratulate you on being the new president.
The vote hasn't.
I thought you did that. No. Anyway, so as you are, what's your plan to bring this board together? Yeah, the vote's done.
I will read her closing remarks.
Thank you.
There's a motion from Sherry to elect Janine as president.
Can I say one thing before? I don't know who's going to become president. If it's going to be Janine, if somebody else is, when you take your vote. But whatever it is, it's a board decision. And when you go out of here, there should be no bad mouthing, and you go with the person that everybody said. That's the way a board operates. You're not individual members, but when that vote is taken, then you go forward and you're positive about it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the floor to elect Janine Grippo as president of the board. All in favor? Okay, all opposed? Okay. Janine Grippo is president.
I'd like to make some remarks. I think I have a theater voice. To those of you who voted for me for this office, thank you for your confidence in me. While I assumed I would not step into this role before 2026, the situation calls for a change sooner rather than later. To Larry, let me thank you for the contributions you've made so far. While I respect your past experience and knowledge, as you and I have discussed twice since June, I cannot condone your leadership style, which has led to the equivalent of a hostile work environment for some of us. While none of us wanted to air this dirty laundry and accepted your June offer to resign your office as president, you chose this path today. I did not want to out you. To my fellow board members, let me confirm for you that my personal core values include transparency, integrity, collaboration, and I expect you to hold me to my commitment to conduct myself as such. I take constructive criticism well, so please let me know if you have concerns. To Darren, let me apologize to you for having become monkey in the middle as this has unfolded. You and I have discussed my core values before, and I look forward to working with you. Yes, we'll agree to disagree on some things, but I'm sure we can both handle it professionally and do what is best for the community. To the HOA2 members, for my part, I felt that the board of directors was dysfunctional and was honest in my discussions with those involved. While some of us were trying to move forward with items for which you elected us, it was an uphill battle. The most recent example was related to the board decision to move the preserve golf course work out to 2031. We knew it was important to incorporate that change in strategy in the 2026 and 5-year budget planning process to avoid triggering $300 assessments each year starting next year. I'm sorry that you had to witness this drama today or on the video soon. I hope we can get past this and move on to the necessary and constructive business at hand. And I will put a plan in place to meet with individuals and make sure we're all understand the rules of engagement, so to speak. Thank you.
You can adjourn the meeting if you like.
I declare the meeting adjourned at 3:19 p.m.